And here we go. Welcome back to Nick Comic Corner, classic / non-classic. This is episode number 3054, Doubleshot 20 and 50. If you hear a little music on this side of my wall, one of my neighbors is playing Spanish music. That's basically what's going on. So, we're starting with the Star Wars trade I talked about last episode, which I forgot to talk about a couple one-shots in the book. Good, I'm going to talk about the main Star Wars issues. So, first we're going to talk about Star Wars Revelations. This is called Trick of the Mind. The whole thing with this one is basically the explanation of Jedi Mind Trick. That's really the whole point of it. And it's all set in the Imperial capital. And it's all dealing with Dagger, one of the supporting characters in the Bounty Hunters book. So this is kind of like an epilogue for him for a bit. Yep, and of course the lawyer here is also saying that Lando would have in the main book. And I think basically given the whole thing with Lando was really cool. I love the Lando stuff. So as for the other thing here, we had the free comic issue for Star Wars Return to Echo Base. This came out last year, believe it or not. Yes, better with the cover for this one and Revelations done by Phil Noto. Yep. So basically, we have Leia, Luke, Chewbacca, and Lando. And basically, they're going to Hoth. Now, Lando wasn't. Lando's never been to Hoth, so they go back to Hoth. Which I do love at the fact that the artwork depicts it, where it still looked exactly the same. Apparently, after a year after the Battle of Hoth happened. Yeah, and apparently, like, the Echo Base, the abandoned one. So here we're going to rescue somebody, so. So apparently they left the shutter doors open. So then, of course, Luke, with his yellow lightsaber, breaks in to kill the stormtroopers. They kill the... We even have a really cool moment here where Luke is basically hopping up and using his lightsaber to slice up an Imperial Center Droid. The very same type of Center Droid that Han shot up with a blaster in the movie. Yep. Here he sliced it right in half. So basically, apparently he was left behind at Echo Base, so basically he's there to rescue them. So they take his transport out. They're being fired upon. And they kind of hide out for a bit. And when they get outside, the shit they were shooting at apparently is frozen solid. And that's the thing. Really good stuff here. I thought the two short stories were really good. But now talk about the main story here. First, what we're talking about is Blue Beetle Volume 1 Scarab War. This collects the first 5 issues of Blue Beetle Volume 5. Written by the guy who wrote the Graduation miniseries, which is letters from that, Josh Turolenko. And Starfire's read the book too. So this continues right after the events of the Graduation miniseries. Now, this volume would sadly be the shortest volume out of all 5 volumes for Blue Beetle. Now, you're probably thinking, why is one short? It's only 11 issues. Yes, seriously. So, we open the first issue up with a recap of, with basically a 4-panel explanation of basically about how the Scarab was found. Of course, you have Dan Garrett, who is the original Blue Beetle. We have him where he passes the thing on to Ted Kord. This is a redrawing of Steve Ditko's version of Dan Garrett, the one who appeared in the Blue Beetle comic book, where he died and Ted Kord became, of course, we also have him part of the JLI, which I thought this was so cool. By the way, the artwork here, it's mostly done by Andrean Garzuis, I think it's called. So, And then we have basically what happened in the crisis with Jaime finding the Beetle. And then basically taking on classic Blue Beetle villains, the Madmen. Yep. And take quarters here as Blue Beetle. Though they at least gave him an upgrade. Yes. And weird thing is, the Madmen generally have only fought Blue Beetle almost everything they show up except for once. They did fight Nightwing in an issue of Grayson. Yes, they did. So we have other, basically, Scarab posts, and then, of course, they're fighting. We have Blue Beetle doing his own thing. We sort of have Jaime and Ted being friends, something they couldn't do in pre-Flashpoint. And then, of course, people they know are there. And Oli. Yeah, of course, they're hanging out at the beach with Brenda and Paco, who... Yeah. So... And, of course, Ted's sliced up by a bad guy, which he's still alive. Don't worry, he doesn't die. By someone called the Blood Scarab. It's like, who do you think you are? I'm Blue Beetle. No, you aren't. You're just my way. And he says, Jamie. And, of course, him be injured. And then we see Booster Gold, Fire, and Ice here. With Guy via Green Lantern projection. Can't be because he's off in space. So Jaime probably is the closest thing in family aside from his sister. So Ice comforts him. And then, of course, we have Victoria Cord, who is actually Ted's sister, who no one knew he had. And of course, apparently Brenda is working as her assistant. Yes. Then we have more, Scarabs fighting other Scarab people fighting Blood Beetle. And finally Jaime fight, and eventually, so then you contact his ex-girlfriend who just happened to be Trace 13. So in this continuity, he did date Tracy 13, but they broke up. Oh, yeah, and take a place called the Oblivion Ball, which looks like an alien. It looks like, I think it's the place that we have Detective Chimp here with Frankenstein's monster. We even have Blue Devil here. Yes, there's a joke to possibly that Tracy probably be able, but doesn't really mention here. And then, of course, he takes to meet Madame Xanadu. I'm like, okay, interesting. And then Starfire shows up. Yeah, I think it was mentioned in the Graduation miniseries that she has a thing for Jaime. I'm thinking, wait, isn't she a little bit older than Jaime? What's the attraction? I don't know. It's weird because some people usually think of her with Dick Grayson, but some people don't want that. People want her Dick with Barbara. Yeah, and there's stuff with that, and explain the whole thing with the Blood Scarab. And then they go to Egypt, where apparently they go to the same tomb, apparently where Kajida's Scarab was kept, which is really cool, the fact they went there. And of course they fight him. And that's the end of issue 3. And we have Jaime with his new girlfriend in the book. We have somebody Ula who's formerly from the Reach. Yeah. Yeah, and of course it comes up Starfire. And then of course there's no cover Kiss Them. Hugh Goldie. And some new character Fade Away, gimmicks, other new characters he created from the previous book, and Starfire's here too. And of course, You're Never Alone. It's yeah, and it is so. It's the way he's written here. It's basically Starfire is in love with a guy who just graduated high school. And then we have reference here to... So it's killed a bunch of outsiders and pretenders. For more details, about dead Cords, check out Blue Beetle 1967 and Freview number 1. I'm like, wait. Okay, I get referencing for you, but the Steve Ditko Blue Beetle book? I found that to be interesting. I did not think that DC would bother to reference that, but okay. So are they implying that those comics take place in this continuity? It's possible, but who knows? Yeah, and that's the whole thing with Victoria. And then the next issue basically deals with like more Blood Scarab stuff here. The Scarab War story kind of wraps up here, and of course you have a flashback here to... It looks like basically they redrew... they basically took inspiration from possibly like a retcon related to Blue Beetle. And of course they even have the logo of the classic Blue Beetle here, which I thought that was so cool. Yep, so... Yeah, and of course Moba to fight with him, and of course basically like they're gonna fight, and they do. Like stop his destiny, and that's we're not done here just yet. Actually, 6 issues, my mistake. And we continue to fight here, and does Jaime win? He does. This Kaji, and of course basically takes down the Blood Scarab, and then he disappears. Really good book. And I give this book a 9 out of 10. And can you believe we're only halfway to this volume? Yes, only halfway through. Next up we have is Birds of Prey, Volume 2, Worlds Without End. Written by Kelly Thompson, art by Howard Pina. This collect issue 713 of Birds of Prey, Volume 5. So the lineup for these issues are Vixen, Big Barda, Black Canary, Cassidy Kane, who's not in this very much. First, I have a two-part Undercover Animals, where it's just basically Barbara, Black Canary, and I think it's Vixen. No, it's Cassie, where she's wearing a slightly different outfit than usual. Actually, it's not Cassie. It's Sid. Yeah, it's Sid. So then we see Cassie and Big Barda in like a training facility, or like they're training for the next battle. And then we have MJ Enterprises. Apparently, it's in Gotham City. It's owned by Vixen. Yes, Vixen, who gives them these weird outfits with his fashion show. You can flash like a beat up some thugs. So let's basically have the Birds of Prey put on these weird outfits for an issue. Yep, for this quick two-part, let's have basically these outfits. We have Big Barda, Vixen, Black Canary, and Cassidy Kane. Like, okay, interesting. Also, the fact I just got to point out though, Big Barda is ripped. Oh my gosh, she's so ripped. Yep. Yeah, and the whole thing, and at one point you have, because the whole clothes are causing mind control, so Big Barda proceeds to strip butt naked. And looking up, they put basically the Jack Kirby design for her face. The cover rear end's like, oh, where are your clothes? I thought it was mind control. Not your clothes, their clothes. Yep, it's a massive brawl. And then, of course, Batgirl disappears. Falls with some portal, which leads into the very next set of issues, which has them basically going to different realities. First, we have the Birds of Prey, where they're basically with one of these, like, looks like something out of the 60s. Yeah, it looks like going reality of the 60s. And the World's End is basically the last 5 issues, basically issues 9 to 13. Yep. So they go to Star City, where they run the Zealot, when they need Zealot's help to basically get right back. And then have to deal with this whole weird stuff here, and of course Barbara gets back her costume. And of course, everybody still has their powers, and they fight these demons. And then they end up a new world with look like slightly different tires. Looks like a bit futuristic here. Yep. Of course, in Pocket Dimension, which they get new clothing. And much really good artwork here. And then for some reason, Barbara decides to, when she's in Pocket Dimension, to put on her really very thin, wearing the outfit that she wore. Basically, the diamond mask she wore, part of her solo book she had, which I personally was not a fan of this look at all. I mean, what's wrong with her wearing a freaking cowl? Yes. And then, of course, by the end of this, they go to another world where they end up in a jungle. Yes, they're basically on an island for the next issue or two. And, of course, John Constantine is called in. Yes, John Constantine. For reasons. And then they have another dimension where, get this, they all become cartoon characters. Yes, seriously. Cartoon characters. It's like something like Teen Titans Go, which is so funny. I don't watch Teen Titans Go, but it's like a cartoon. I like the whole cartoon aspect. This is so fun. And after they deal with this here, then they finally go home. Well, Cassie does anyways. Eventually they all go home, beat the bad guy. And then Black Canary gets his text the Oracle Agency, and that's it. Yep, really good stuff here. Kelly Thompson does an excellent job with this book. I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Yep. And I do have one more Comic Corner coming, but that'll happen later on. So that's pretty much a particular review. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do not hit the like button. Well, next episode is going to be ReZero. Okay, next video. Bye.